Hey, what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Jake Olson, we announced him being hired from Mizzou. Remember, this is a cat that was at Northwestern State. Him and Blake Baker clicked. Blake Baker brought him he was on the LSU staff in 21 as an analyst. Baker brings him to Mizzou as an analyst, and now, because that's how these things work, he is getting an on-field coaching role. He's going to be the safeties coach, which we knew. But Raymond's title is secondary coach, not specifically corners coach. So which you give me a bit of a quizzical look, but I feel that actually makes a lot of sense to me because I don't know if they're going to be in the same room all the time, Jake, like we talked about, but this makes it feel almost like a different breakdown of having like a coordinator and then like your tight ends coach, right? Like technically Corey Raymond will be over the whole group and he'll probably set the plan and the overall tone, and then it'll be on Jake Olson and breakouts to get the safeties on the same page specifically. It's a good way, I think, to create alignment in that position group. And it makes sense given Corey Raymond is, infinitely more experienced than Olson, but Olson is young and he seems like a riser and he seems like a really solid coach thus far. And so now he gets to learn at the feet of a Raymond. I like this. To me, it just speaks to the all power structures. Even if you want to be Billy Napier, you want to have 82 guys on staff. You just need a clear hierarchy, right? Where does the buck end? Who has the ultimate say? And honestly, that's one of the things that's going to be interesting about the LSU offense trying to figure out is with Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton, how do you kind of break it down between those guys? But I think this is a pretty shrewd move, naming Corey secondary coach and Jake Olson safeties coach.
Do not forget that Billy Napier does have a coordinator of game-changing moments on his staff. So although he's looking for an offensive coordinator, but he got game-changing moments taken care of. Back to the LSU staff. So Olson's somebody obviously that Blake Baker knows. Like he knows him from his time here. He knows him from having him with him at Missouri. That didn't sound good, whatever that was, T-Bob, that fell.
Hairspray.
Oh, okay. And so you just want him there. Like you want him here with you.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what shows to me is he's been with you multiple places and you're like, hey, I need him. Like I need him to come back to Baton Rouge with me. And so him being with the safeties, but Corey still having that title, I hope they're in the same room more times than they're not. I think there's a disconnect when you have your safeties and corners in different rooms, right? Fullbacks and running backs don't go in different rooms. Guards and tackles don't go in different rooms, and centers, like they all go into the same room. Now, sometimes like tight ends will go in with the offensive linemen. Sometimes they'll go in with the receivers. But like for the most part, you want those people that are working together, right? Like as a fullback, I want to know what the running back's reading here because that helps my block. It makes it easier for me. And so I hope they're in the room, again, more times than they're not together. And kind of these titles make me think that they will be.
Yeah, and then on the field, you'll just have Olson more working because the techniques and trying to coach all the positions on the field, especially in this new age of more DBs on the field, is probably a bit harder than it was in the past.
Also has special teams coordinator on his resume. And I think,
at Northwestern, right?
So, yes. And so
Northwestern State.
I mean, and we're in Louisiana. We say
no, I know. I'm just making sure.
We ain't going up to Chicago.
Yeah, nah. Even though sneaky good year.
Yeah, you actually did.
I mean, really kind of surprisingly great year for Chicago Northwestern.
So, I mean, you can help there because LSU, that's been a spot, like a returner, have positive punt returner yards, like make the plays. Like it was better this year, certainly, than it was 2 years ago, but that's still an area you can improve in. So I'm sure he's going to be helping out there a ton as well because all the assistants always kind of have a certain, this guy's returners, this guy's gunners, this guy's whatever, right? And so you kind of get that all together. But with that experience of being a coordinator, that's going to help. So multiple places he's probably going to be coaching for LSU.
Will LSU have a true special teams coordinator this year? Hopefully, right? No? Yes? No?
I would hope so, but I mean, the number of guys they've hired on defense, I mean, how many on-field spots do they have left?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because you still got to do technically an OC, but if you have Sloan and Hankton, if you want to pick one of them, you already have them.
it's just odd because we have a very large sample size of when LSU has a full-time special teams coach, it goes much better than when LSU does not. I mean, right? That's like fair to say.
I mean, you had one last year, Bob Diaco.
Was he the full-time special teams coordinator? I thought he was an analyst that like helped on special teams on practice days, but then wasn't like
I mean,
there
on
on
the
game
field.
days.
I mean, his title is special teams coordinator / outside linebackers, and now you're going to have
that's what I'm
somebody
saying.
else
Even
working
that's a bit
edges.
like Bradley Dale. I'm talking about when you had Greg McMahon. Greg McMahon was just special teams
Forgot
coach.
Bradley Dale did run the special.
Hell yeah, Bob. When we had Thomas McGahee, like when we were best in my tenure at LSU, Thomas McGahee was an NFL special teams coach that came here just to coach special teams.
Yeah, and I know GMAC just signed back with Tulane, so he'd be
Yeah,
on board.
yeah,
But
no, I know McMahon's not available. So
now
but he's the best.
now that you say Bradley Dale, I do remember on field goal and extra point him talking about the splits and how it mattered to the inch and how inches matter in life. I do remember that now.
Yeah,
You say that.
yeah. Any one of y'all would take an extra inch, wouldn't you?
Yep. You don't think an inch matters?
Yeah. I mean, that's it's just how it's a great way of contextualizing your lesson, making people realize what you're trying to get them to. It's a little better than when Coach Miles was about ready to kill me and nearly kicked me out of walkthrough because he said my splits were too small, like 6 inches. He wanted about a foot. And I still don't know what came over to me to this day. But I said, oh, so about the size of my, and then used a word that begins with C and kind of paused and did like a slow turn and goes, T-Bob, shut the F up. And he's like, get out of here. And like, sub me out. That was a bad idea. It was a bad idea. That's called misreading the room.
It's your
y'all.
Intrusive thoughts taking
Yes,
over.
it's impulsive is what I would say. Very, very impulsive. But I thought it was funny at the time. The
It's
boys,
funny.
the
I think
boys
it's
were
funny
like, the
now.
boys were snickering. Let's
Yeah.
just say that the boys were snickering, even though
who
they knew they
really
couldn't
won,
laugh too
you know?
hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Who really won?
You got a snicker.
Yeah, but the guys
that makes it
snickering
worse
around you
for the
probably
coach.
made him even more
Oh
mad.
yeah, no doubt.
Oh, no doubt. Yes,
Like,
yes, no, absolutely, absolutely,
that was bad
absolutely.
for you?
Yeah, no, it was all bad for me. Yes.
And then when the coach is mad, it's like even harder not to laugh because
Yeah.
you're like, oh my
No,
God,
everybody's
it's
kinda
so funny how mad you are.
They're like doing this thing into their hands. So yeah. It was-
Special teams coach.
was
Going
not a
back
good
to that, when I first got here was Derek Dooley. He was a special teams coach.
There's a video from Jacques making the round this morning where it's some old practice footage and it's Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, Will Muschamp, Derek Dooley, and then Tommy Moffitt pops up at the end. Hamstring shots in the middle, right? I mean, I was like, oh, a little PTSD, but quite the. But he was full-time special teams coach or no?
No,
So I feel
he
like back
coached running
then,
backs,
I was
too.
going to say back then, I don't feel like you had a lot of full time. I just think if we crunch the numbers, Taylor, which maybe you can do some data analyzation here, not a word. I think that we would find that when you've had a full time dedicated special teams coach, you've been better than when you have not. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think without even looking at any numbers, I think that's factual.
Yeah, that's what it feels that way. And now maybe it's a bit slanted because Greg McMahon was so awesome. But
He was. So I didn't have a chance to play for him long. I mean, it was just a camp. But when I was down with the Saints for that little bit,
he treats people the right way.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
He was awesome.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.